January 27th. It's around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Soil temperatures here, 54 degrees. Man, that's close to pre-emergent time. Probably this coming weekend. All right, for those of you watching this live, it is the middle of winter. It's the end of January. A lot of the footage that you're looking at here on the screen was filmed on January 27th. This me talking right here, this is January 29th. At some point here in the near future, I'm going to put this video out. I literally want this video to be about middle of the winter Poa Annua control, but it's not really just about Poa Annua control. It's about weeds in the lawn. Poa Annua would be one of those weeds. Poa is an annual bluegrass. It's in the neighborhood or in the variety, the family of Kentucky bluegrass, and that really should make you realize or think to yourself that this is not a weed. This is not a dicot weed. This is not a broadleaf weed. This is a grassy weed. In theory, just as theoretically speaking, you could have an entire lawn of Poa Annua. It's going to look really good after late frosts happen. So kind of in that February 1st to maybe towards the end of May, early June, depending on where you live. It will die out in the summer in super duper hot weather, but it also goes dormant over the course of winter. It's a late winter throughout the spring grass type. It germinates in the fall, goes dormant during the winter, and then it wakes up before all of the spring perennial grasses wake up. It's an annual. It reseeds and then grows from new seed every single year. Where I live, it is Southern California. Southern California, we get down to around 55, 50 degrees on the colder years in the middle of the winter, and then the soil temperatures come back up. Typically, we do not have a dormant season for Poa Annua. In the late fall, if we put down pre-emergent, we can stop Poa Annua from germinating, but most Southern California residents don't do this because our winter, our late fall and our winter season kind of feel like mid-fall and mid-spring. It never really feels like winter. So Poa Annua can really start germinating and never go dormant through the entire winter season. Because of that, by middle of January, late January, we can have tufts of green all over the place. And that is, so some of this is not Poa Annua, but some of it is. It is extremely common to hear and read on the internet tutorials, let's call it tutorials, on how to prevent and kill Poa Annua. The most important thing that you can do is apply a pre-emergent in the fall. But if you didn't do that, or if you got it down at the wrong time of year in the fall, like if you just missed the window by a month or so, you're going to have some Poa Annua. And I want to show you what I do every winter, usually in the late winter, mid to late winter, at the end of January, after Christmas is way in the past. Like that was like weeks ago. Disregard the fact that I still have Christmas lights on the edge of my house. I still got to pull those down. But at the very end of January, 1st February, this is how I get rid of Poa Annua in the lawn. There are herbicides that you can spray and stick on top of it, kill it off. But during these cool seasons, if you didn't prevent it in the first place, it's slow and it's not a best of kill possible. This is how you do it. You literally grab it with your fingers. You use your fingers to pull it out of the ground. Poa Annua is very shallow rooted. It is extremely easy to pull out of the ground. And even if you see those seed heads or those flower heads kind of starting to populate over the top of the leaf canopy, those seeds are not yet viable. So even though you see those flowers, if you leave some of them on the ground this time of year, they're not going to turn into new plants. They're not ready yet. But we do want to pull the plant out of the ground with as much of the root system as possible. The root system is really thin, really shallow. It's very easy to pull out of the ground, especially if you wait a couple days or so after rain hits or after your sprinklers go off. This is not a warm season grass. This is not rhizomatic. It is not going to regrow from the roots. So unless you have a ton of it and a very large yardscape, just go out there with your fingers and pull it out of the ground. briefly here, I want to show you the difference. You see all of this green right here? This is not Poa Annua. That's fescue. Remember, I live in Southern California. We have random fescue all over the place. That, you see the color difference? That is extremely different. This is Bermuda, semi-dormant. These are tufts of fescue. That right there, that's Poa Annua. It is lime green. It is way different color. Look at the difference of that. Green. Blech. This right here has a substantial root system. It is underground. I cannot just grab it and pull it out of the ground. But with Poa Annua, sure, I could go out and find some chemicals and spray it on it. Or I could just grab it and pull it out of the ground just like that. That is literally all it takes. Look at that tiny little baby dumb root system. Pull it out of the ground. All of those flowers will not turn into viable seed, and that will not repopulate the ground. You do that over the course of your lawn. Just comb through your lawn, yank those out of the ground. You see how fast that was? Here's another one. Look at that. It doesn't take much. Just grab it, pull it out. Pulling weeds is not that big of a deal. I don't even have to use a tool. Just grab them, pull them out of the ground, and they will never be there. You do not need to buy any product, any herbicides, any chemicals. You don't need to apply them to the lawn to kill this stuff. Just yank it out of the ground and throw it in the trash. Anyway, while I do this, I want you to understand this does not occupy any significant part of my day. It takes more time for me to film this video than it does to go through my front yard and pull this stuff out. In fact, I'm pulling stuff out that's not Poa Annua, also just regular weeds, whatever happens to be growing in the lawn over the course of the winter that I can see at the end of January that I don't want there. I just kind of yank it out of the ground. One of my favorite things that I use is literally a dinner fork. I just grab a dinner fork, take it on the ground, pry it up. Most things come out of the ground just fine. Poa Annua, you don't even need that. You just grab it with your fingertips, and the shallowness of the root systems just give way and everything comes out of the ground. If you do this in the middle of the winter, towards the end of winter, late January, all throughout the course of February, you don't have to apply any herbicides to the lawn. And I can go through this lawn a couple times a week. It takes me 5 minutes every time, and then I never have to worry about buying product, spraying chemical, storing chemical, whatever it is. If my kids want to go out there and just eat the grass, I'm okay with that. I don't really want them to eat the grass. But if I'm not spraying chemicals on the grass, then I guess it's okay. I don't know. Someone out there probably knows more than me. We don't buy grass at the grocery store. Maybe it's not okay. But anyway, I'm not spraying chemicals on the grass. And I don't want you to spray chemicals on the grass if you don't have to either. Once we pull all of the Poa Annua and whatever random weeds that we can find out of the lawn throughout the course of like early February, then all we got to think about is the desirable grass that's growing in the lawn, and then we just have to cut it regularly, a couple times a week. That's it. Twice a week. If you happen to live in California, Texas, Florida, some other southern state, Gulf state, Hawaii, Arizona, make sure to watch this video up here. I know it says California on it, but it relates to all of you. Make sure to watch that next. This time of year, February, is when spring starts for some of these southern states like California. Don't go by the calendar. Don't wait until April. This is when you start.